Supair DELIGHT 3, fantastic harness. I've been flying today. They have made some really great improvements on it. They've changed a lot about the back protection and not necessarily the back protection, but the shaping of the back.
The back support,
support. And it's really noticeable in flight how you've got so much comfort on your back.
I think that's the biggest single change from the DELIGHT 2, which is a great harness. But I always felt I've got a long back, and I'm particularly fussy in the back area about my harnesses. And for the DELIGHT 2, I found the back support was a little bit short. With this, what's really noticeable right away is that it's got very good support, which goes a long way up as well. And I think the big part of the reason for that, and if we can show you, there's a good thickness, high density foam piece that goes all the way across your back and all the way down to your bum, right up to the top of your shoulders. And I think that's what gives such good support on the back. And also it's got to be really good protection. It's pretty light, 3.7 kilos for the medium. But I think they've decided to keep it more on the don't compromise the comfort and the support.
It's a very nice balance between where the back support ends and then the seat plate is, and I can feel the difference between that. I'm sitting on a seat. I'm slightly used to a harness. I fly quite a lot with a harness that's more of the hammock style. So for me, having the seat plate is a more unusual feeling, but actually I found it very comfortable, and because of the back support and everything, and the way the harness feels is reassuring, but able to still get a really good turn and movement with it.
Well, I think like the DELIGHT 2, they've done a very good balance with this mini seat plate in there and the option to remove it. It's a very nice compromise. It feels very easy to fly, very comfortable, and you've got the seat plate that you can lean and weight shift and use that to give it extra leverage. But what you don't have is harnesses that have a full seat plate, is that especially when you're on the ground, what you don't have is the seat plate banging into the back of your legs. It makes you feel more free to move around on the ground.
Yeah.
And this gives you a nice balance of giving a seat plate but without the compromise.
Noticeably with the ground handling, you don't notice the seat plate. It seems to be in the right position to give you the support in flight, but not hitting the back of your legs.
So they've decided to go to quick buckles, which is different to the DELIGHT 2, which has pass-through buckles. So they've decided to do that. I think that's a smart choice because the difference in weight is minimal, but the convenience is quite a lot. And they've gone for these high quality, the Cobra buckles there. So this system is, your legs are very free to move around and walk around. So you do get a little bit of especially for the guys, you get a little bit of pressure.
Didn't notice anything, it was fine for me.
Yeah, but not as much as some harnesses like this. Some other harnesses you notice it much more. They've made this very padded and quite comfortable.
Yeah. So. I can feel those in flight, so when I'm weight shifting and when I'm turning, you do feel those straps by your thighs, but not in an uncomfortable way, but in, I think, more of a sort of supportive way. You sort of feel like it's kind of gripping you a little bit, but
to demonstrate a little bit.
Sort of move with it too.
Did you find that was restricting you thermaling? I found when I was turning, at some point it got quite stiff. The turn and trying to put in more weight shift made it it was resisting me, but it didn't feel like it stopped me.
I could feel the straps when I'm turning and when I'm thermaling, and there is a little part of you that feels like you are being slightly restricted. So I think what I was managing to do was kind of shift the butt slightly, so you are sort of sliding in the harness and actually doing a more of a push out onto your footboard, and actually do more of a hip bum shuffle to actually get the turn in, which is kind of how I fly with my non-seat plated harness. So I'm kind of used to that more of a twist and a turn with my body and pushing out on the foot plate to get that kind of leverage and turn in the pod. So a slight restriction with that, but overcomable, and depending on how you like to thermal. So.
Getting enough, I'm getting enough feedback that I can feel what's going on with the air, but it's taking out a lot of the movement, which is kind of what you want. Looks very well styled. It's like everything's smooth and clean. That's to release. That's to tighten. Super easy in the air. Just doing a bit of weight shift there, and I come up against some stability, about 30 degrees. Flying out to find a climb here. Okay, I'm getting enough feeling in the harness that I can feel what the air is doing.
I think first of all I was trying to weight shift it like I was my other harness, and it's like, oh, that's not quite working. And then I changed my technique a bit to suit the harness, and then it's like, oh no, that feels really nice. It smooths out the bumps, like in the first part. It kind of feels like, and at first I feel like, oh, is it dampening things out? I wasn't quite, you do need to adapt to different harnesses a bit, but actually just relaxing into it and going with it, I noticed it's smoothing things out. But then when you want to weight shift and pull it out, it was, it responds. So
yeah, I was very impressed with that. I thought it was noticeable that some of the other harnesses I've tested recently had a lot of roll or movement that you had to sort of counteract, and this was definitely smoothing things out, out getting rid of the information. The things that I wanted to react to, the big thermal movements I could feel. Yeah. And all the little sort of nonsense, rubbishy bits of turbulence, it was just kind of smoothing those out.
And then there's a point if you're trying to really, like I was doing some wing overs a bit on the harness, and it's totally capable of doing them, but it's definitely not an unstable acro harness. It's made for cross country. That's how it feels to me. Certainly this is just like the Delight 2, this is an ideal first pod harness. It's quite an easy pod to get into, whereas some of the seat plateless harnesses tend, for some people adapt to those really quickly, but some people clearly don't so much. This is a harness that you can adapt to quite easily. It's because of the mini seat plate and how sort of smoothened out the feeling is. It doesn't have lots of roll and yaw. It's quite an easy harness to. So that's why I think it's very good. So pilots who are looking for that, probably pilots who want something that's kind of really, unstable, that they want to really wang the glider around and do acro or something, this probably isn't the harness that they're looking for. I don't think pods are a good harness to go for first new pilots. I don't think it's a good idea. We saw some very good demonstrations today of new pilots in pod harnesses having a horrendous time with them. They do take a little bit of getting used to. There's a bit more to think about getting into the speed bag.
What most people are familiar with is having a seat plate. So having that seat plate option there is definitely very important. And I think generally the harness is very accessible for a lot of people. Obviously, everyone fits differently and things will need to be set up for them. But for a first pod, and for being obviously lightweight as well.
This is the sort of reserve channel, and I found this zip was actually just opening itself. There's nothing stopping any pressure pulling the zip open.
So you have to
rub the zip.
So if you do that, you've got to do that all the way down to there.
Okay, then you zip it up, and that secures the start of it.
It goes to there, that's the only point it goes to.
These can start to come undone, but I will point out that the reserve's not going to come out. Well, you can see inside there a bit of the inner workings of the reserve as well. So they've actually done the nylon rods they've put in go quite long, So they're not going to, there's no danger of that just slipping out. So they go well past and they go into little holes.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get caught on something. So
Yeah.
so it's kind of a little annoyance.
Yeah.
They haven't spared on the pulleys. They've gone for the really big. They're not quite the ratchet pulleys, but they've gone for the really big Harkan 29mm pulleys. And you really notice that when you use the speed system, it's very light.
Very light, yeah.
The flight deck sits.
Lucky, but yeah.
Yeah, the flight deck sits very nicely. But for me, it just sits a little bit. You have to be careful how you set it up, because it can sit a little bit low and be slightly concealed by the waist strap. So what I've got, the flight panel I put on, I just put the panel slightly higher. There's a nice pocket here, which you could use. You could put stuff in there and then get in food or whatever in flight. Another nice little thing, they supply the harness. You can put that onto your instrument, and then instead of having to lanyard your instrument on, you can just clip it in.
So actually, when you pack away the harness, I actually think it's really important to undo the zip so that folds flat. So I always recommend people to do that. But the space in here is great.
There's a pocket here.
Oh yes!
Oh yeah.
And you pull on this and you get, a spare carabiner.
Yes.
Which is for throwing around a tree. And then you're tied on and you can't fall off.
We just hang on. We just tie it on, yeah.
Just
sort of
tie it on. Right,
yeah,
there we go.
that's
There we
it.
go.
Yeah, and then hook it
Great.
on. Yeah.
I don't know, he wants details. He wants details. He wants us to talk. He wants to. Then we start talking and he says, shut up. I think they've been very smart and worked out which are the bits that people loved and which are the bits that needed a bit of changing, and they've gone and made the changes in all the right places. Oh my God, my knees have seized up.